Hey there, Shua here with another drawing tutorial. Today we're going to be drawing a vehicle of some sort using the basic structure of objects. And I'm going to start with just some basic shapes in 3 dimensions. So what I'm thinking about is kind of a large cube of sorts to kind of get started. And notice I rotate the page of these back into space, and I'm also going to give myself a little bit of visual cues here for the 3-dimensional shape of this. So I know if my wheels are kind of right around in here, they'll also line up through the vehicle over here. So not that I'll ever see that wheel, but sometimes it helps me just to kind of know where things are going to end up. So you can already start to see a little bit of kind of a semblance of a vehicle starting to happen. I'm going to extend this line out a little bit more and get some sort of hood kind of shape going. And all I'm doing, I just added an additional cube. So I've got kind of this rectangular cube and this rectangular cube, and I've kind of pieced them together. It's a really rough looking kind of blocky shaped vehicle at this point. But the cool thing about this is it gives it a volume, it gives it a mass, a size, and that just helps me to kind of visually start to create around this shape and inside of this shape. So for instance, I could start with something really simple like the wheel here. If I start to darken this in, well, I know that the tire is going to come underneath the vehicle a little bit. So I can start to kind of shape that out. Draw another ellipse on the interior of this and get the hubcap, okay, and do the same thing over here. And all of this is really loose to start with, and nothing's perfect, but you're just kind of getting a shape and starting to get a feel for what this is going to look like. You know, one thing that's good to know is sort of the axis of this shape should sort of line up kind of with the other lines that are happening. So this is kind of the axis that goes through the wheel. That would actually be an axle when you're talking about a vehicle. But then you have the major axis, which is the long stretch of the ellipse, and you've got the minor axis, which is the short stretch of the ellipse. So those should be lining up with the vertical and horizontal lines of your vehicle. Okay, so that's something really important to make sure you have going on. Here, if you kind of connect those two lines, you start to get a more, I guess, bus looking or van looking shape out of it. You start to get a little bit of area for a windshield. And this doesn't have to be any vehicle you've ever seen before. Okay, this can be a really creative and fun process. You can sort of start to develop and draw and design some cool shapes. You could even make a little bit of a rounded sort of a deal there. Around the windshield, and yeah, you can just get super creative with it, especially the more you practice and start to understand how shapes will need to fit together. So you start to round some of the corners. This could end up being a bumper, and obviously a bumper is going to come a little bit off of the actual shape of the body because it's usually attached as an extra piece around the edge. So you can start to draw it just a little bit bigger. Again, if you haven't seen my video on freehand lines and circles, a lot of the skills that I use kind of depend on that, being able to draw lines quickly. It's a good tool, it's a good skill to have. So these are just some headlights. So this is one of those big old wide vehicles. But you can make it futuristic. Like I kind of got the feeling that I'd like to raise up the cab here. Maybe this is like some kind of entry door or something. I don't know. Maybe it's a bus, a public transport or something. I haven't even decided that yet. I just kind of am creating as I go, which to me is a lot of the fun of kind of getting that skill down. You can create ideas very quickly and then move on to another one. You could also take a drawing like this as a wireframe and put a sheet of paper on top of it and really start to very carefully draw kind of a more refined version of your vehicle on top. So that's sort of a cool thing. When you start to get too busy with your lines, you can't tell what's going on. Sometimes that's a good option, is to grab another sheet of paper, lay it on top, and get a little bit cleaner design going. So now that kind of looks like the front of a U-Haul or a transport truck there, with that little bend or that little rounded corner, that beveled edge there starts to make it look like maybe this is a transport truck of some sort. But this could be some kind of a futuristic vehicle or some multi-purpose vehicle that we don't even know about yet. You know, it could be any number of things. You could put a little, I don't know, maybe it's a refrigerated vehicle and you want to put a little something up here, a little AC unit or refrigerated unit up here on top of it. You know, maybe it has a fan or something. I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the quickest thing that comes to mind as I'm going. They're just shapes that sort of start, I just start to think about different shapes that might appear or happen on this vehicle as I go. And sometimes, you know, I get into it and it just, I don't like it. You know, I'm like, oh man, I really wish I hadn't done that. But that doesn't mean that it was a waste of my time. It wasn't a waste of energy, because for all the good things that happened before I got into something I didn't like, I retain that. I keep that with me, and I consider that part of my kind of good work. And then the stuff that I don't like, I can discard. I cannot draw those elements again. But I don't like to just throw away pictures. I like to keep them for a while, at least for a few years at least, to come back to them and study them and see if there's anything good in there that I'd like to get into at another point. Alright, so there's my crazy vehicle that makes very little sense as to what in the world its functionality is. But yeah, whatever. Hopefully at least you got to see how to take simple objects, start to build those simple objects into some more complex forms, using quick lines, rotating the page. Yeah. And I'm going to stop there before I keep going. I could keep going and going and going and going. But I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much for watching again. This is Shua Hendry. I am the creator of The Legend of Harapan. And if you've already gotten your copy, thank you so much. It is available on Comixology. And thanks for watching.